This meeting to order. Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We would like to have a moment of silence for the residents that we have lost. Alyssa, roll call, please.
Bella Gariglia.
Here.
Michael Messina.
Here.
Mary Adler. Here. Ed Whitman.
Here.
Barbara Wells. Here.
Are we all right? Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Before we begin our meeting, as you may or may not know, Michelle is leaving Lake Ridge for a better opportunity. And today is her last day. I guess some of them didn't know Michelle. We wish her the best, so let's give her a round of applause. Now we would like you to meet Ray Barnes. Wow, that's good. If it continues, maybe they'll do that for me. I haven't had that yet. Okay, so Ray will be the interim manager until a permanent manager is selected. Ray comes with many years of experience in the management business and has consented to help us out on a temporary to possible permanent basis. Please, let's give Ray a warm welcome. And now approval of the open board meetings of March 16th, 2023 is needed.
I move that you accept the minutes of March 20th.
March
16th.
I second.
Okay, approved. Okay. We have finished with the engineering and bidding process on the cladding project. And we'll be interviewing 3 contractors on this coming week. We're moving as quickly as possible on this much needed project. Since more deterioration, unfortunately, has occurred than anticipated. It's time, it's overtime. We are also moving forward on the fence project. Unfortunately, when dealing with any project where permits, variances, etc. are involved, things move very, very slowly. But we are getting close, and I think that we will have a lot more information for you at the next open board meeting. The time has come after much deliberation that Lake Ridge is informed about those issues that have been of great concern to myself and to the board. I'm going to speak slowly on this because it's a very important, informative issue. Now, the board is open to constructive criticism. Constructive comments are welcome. However, over the preceding years, plural, there have been too many times when one individual or a minority group with a specific agenda insists on inundating the board and management over and over with complaints on various issues, insults, and disrespectful verbiage. A community of our size requires a lot of time and thought. We serve as volunteers. We do so out of our concern for Lake Ridge and a desire to see it be the best it can be. It is, to some degree, like a small town. Will everyone be happy with every decision? No, of course not. That doesn't mean that because a very small number of people would rather see a different decision, that we can endlessly entertain their complaints. However, these are very few residents. These very few residents have openly, either by social media, verbally, or by mail, called for dismissal of the entire board, dismissal of the management, and asked for the removal of, and complaints regarding our gatekeeper, and asked for the removal of our staff, a member of our staff. Now, who would do this? I personally, face to face, have been called a liar and incompetent. And the insults were not just addressed within Lake Ridge, but at a recent meeting outside of Lake Ridge, when, after speaking on behalf of Lake Ridge, I and others overheard one of the few making negative, insulting remarks, when we are all supposed to stand together, and we were there to stand together as a community on this particular issue. Michelle also was openly attacked verbally by one of the few. However, probably, and the thing that really tipped the iceberg, the most distasteful and lack of character is when you attack a staff member. That is an unfair advantage that no resident should feel they have the right to do. Recently, Erin was admonished for not addressing one of the few, I'm trying to be like Nixon here, one of the few properly, recently Erin was admonished for not addressing one of the few properly, which in that person's opinion showed a sign of disrespect. Really? I was unaware that we have royalty in our midst. As for the issue of the rumor mill, I hope we have all learned by now that anybody can put almost anything on social media, and some people will believe it as a true, whether it is true, whether it is not, or is half true. The reason for such misinformation is to further divide the community. The people posting such information have an agenda. They are not neutral third parties seeking the truth. They simply put out whatever furthers their agenda, not Lake Ridge's agenda. But it doesn't stop there. And this should be a major concern to all Lake Ridge residents. One of the few residents started back in March of 2022 through their legal counsel, sending numerous letters to our legal representative, Mr. David Ramsey, which we, of course, are obligated to answer at a cost to Lake Ridge. That is very important. At a cost to you, Lake Ridge. And that was when a prior board was still in place. Nothing materialized from the complaints, but we still had to pay. And now, to add insult to injury, two of the few have asked for ADR, or in other words, it is called alternate dispute resolutions, with their lawyer being present. Now, when you ask for ADR and you want your lawyer present, guess what? We have to have our lawyer present. The cost to Lake Ridge is approximately $1,500 per resolution, or ADR, depending upon the length of the meeting. Now, we have offered to meet with the two parties in question in order to avoid these additional fees. You can do that. Before you go to ADR, you can meet with the board. Perhaps we can settle these issues. And perhaps that's the hopes of meeting with the board. We did that in order to avoid these fees, but to date, we still have not had an answer. At this stage, we're assuming that they are still going to be requiring ADR. Now, let me make one thing very, very clear. None of what I have said is intended to further divide this community. Rather, it is in the hopes that those few would seek to work with the board instead of against the board. It hasn't worked. You don't work against a board. You work with a board who has tried to keep everyone as informed as humanly possible within our guidelines, to let everyone know what's happening. We just said rather in the hopes that those few would seek to work again with the board instead of against the board for the sake of Lake Ridge. Not for our sake, but for your sake. We hope that those that are seeking ADR will reconsider and meet with the board. We must come together. We must not seek to divide and bring our community down but rather to unite and work together to continue to make Ridge the great community that it is meant to be. Do not allow this divisiveness to continue. Only you can discourage it. Only you can fight against it. We alone cannot do it. This continued behavior, it's up to you. We are better than that. And now, as a continuation of my report, I turn the mic over to Ed to further expound on these issues, and then on to Barbara. Thank you.
Thank you, Bella. And good morning, friends and neighbors. And I use that form of address deliberately. To continue Bella's theme, we are and must remain friends and good neighbors. I wish to address some of the negative criticisms to the board's recent decisions to update and improve various features of our physical plant and amenities. Projects that were long postponed in the past have now become critical priorities that require our action. Naturally, such projects will cost money, though by virtue of prudent budgeting, most of these expenses have been accounted for in our reserve fund. But given the rising cost of everything from groceries to gasoline, there have been some expenses that necessitated the recent increase in our monthly HOA fee. Understandably, any increase in fees will be unpopular, even when necessary. But once the reasons for increase have been explained, reasonable people will come to recognize the wisdom of paying a little more on preventative maintenance now than a lot more later to preserve our quality of life and the resale value of each of our homes. Understandably, nevertheless, the board has been criticized by some, a few, for moving too fast, spending too much, being a runaway board. To be sure, constructive criticism of governing bodies is the lifeblood of a healthy community. Even people who are fully informed may in good faith disagree over priorities and argue in opposition to any particular proposal. Yet when all is said, a decision must be made to kick the can down the road for a future board to have to deal with, or to accept the sworn responsibility of the board members to act prudently now. But what happens when a self-appointed, and I may emphasize self-interested, individual takes to social media to spread unfounded rumors and personal attacks on those responsible for making difficult and controversial decisions? How does such misinformation and defamation affect the morale of our community? What price does it exact from those who volunteer their time and talent to serve on the board and various committees that advise the board in making these decisions that prudent governance demands? We all know the answer. It poisons the well springs of confidence in the good faith of those volunteers and discourages participation in community governance. The remedy to this poisonous rumor, falsehood, and defamation is truth. in the form of accurate and complete factual information from those in a position to know. When you hear a rumor or read something negative in a website, consider the source. Consider the source. Politics has always been a hot kitchen, but that doesn't excuse arsonists from posing as would-be chefs. Lake Ridge is a self-governing community run by our friends and neighbors, serving as volunteers on various committees established under our bylaws. Let me now ask the chairpeople of our committees to stand and be recognized for the work they and their members perform for all of us. Phil Weiner for ARC. Is Phil here today? Phil. Phil Weiner for ARC. Bill Cohen for Finance and Audit. Linda Marenti for Government. And my good friend Lou Zaz for Grounds. Thank you for your service. These are the people in whom residents have placed their confidence. When a question concerning our common well-being arises, the best source of information is the relevant committee chairperson or a member of the board of directors. That is how community governance works best. Of course, their answers will probably reflect the actual complexities of the issues and confound the simplistic opinions of the ill-informed. It's always easy, you know, there's a great quote from H.L. Mencken that says, for every problem, there is an obvious, simple, and direct answer. That's wrong. But that is usually the hallmark of truth. Complex issues often demand complex answers. In summary, we must have confidence in those friends and neighbors who volunteer their time, talents, and creativity working on behalf of all of us to keep Lake Ridge the wonderful community that we all know it truly is. We should all share in and applaud their dedication. I thank you for your attention.
Definition of a rumor: a generally circulated story, report, or statement without facts to confirm its truth. There are two rumor points that I would like to share with you today. First, the RFID. It has come to the board's attention that certain residents have been spreading rumors that the board is planning to change the gate access system to Lake Ridge as a stepping stone to doing away with the overnight gate attendant at the main gate. RFID is going to replace the guard. This is far from the truth on many levels. First, the board is researching what it would take to update our totally updated system, the clickers. Researching is the key word. Second, any gate entry system that either we have now or are researching has absolutely nothing to do with the gate attendant during midnights. So, these rumors are not truthful in any way. These are ill-founded rumors. By the way, to make this even worse, the board has been told by several residents that they have been receiving calls from the other Lake Ridge residents spreading these two rumors. These calls and spreading of false information need to stop. These are concrete examples of how a few misguided residents are facilitating a division of our community. Information gathering or questions need to be directed to the appropriate, knowledgeable individuals that are available to all. There is not one resident here at Lake Ridge that has all the facts as the board does. Although this need not really be said, I would enforce that not everything that you hear or see on the internet is true. This is definitely a case for what is being and what has been posted on Lake Ridge, non-Lake Ridge social media sites. Truth should lead the way. One way to stop these rumors is to immediately put a concern sheet directly to the board of directors on what you either read or heard. They will be given to us immediately and we will respond to what you have read or heard to stop the rumors before they go any further. Almost done. Open house rumor. Open houses don't sell homes. Visiting a couple of open houses over a period of time gives prospective buyers knowledge about the community and increases the odds that they will eventually choose Lake Ridge. So whether open houses clinch the sale of any given house, they do serve to promote the overall property values of homes in Lake Ridge. The fact is that both the homeowner and the realtor have the right to write their own contract, whose terms regarding price, commissions, and open houses are subject to mutual negotiation. These are properly their choices, and the board respects their judgment of their best interests. Whether a home seller wants to host an open house or whether a realtor wants to accept such a listing is up to them. The board should not interfere in that freedom of contract. Open house research. Lake Ridge does not need to recreate the wheel in regard to open houses. That being said, a survey has been conducted to better understand what is happening in surrounding developments like ours. More specifically, 11 other communities like ours in our immediate area have been surveyed. These communities are as follows: The Enclave, Four Seasons Jackson, Four Seasons at Lake Ridge, Four Seasons at South Knoll, Greenbrier 2, Greenbrier at Winding Ways, Leisure Knoll, Lions Head South, Renaissance at Manchester, West Lake, Winding Ways, and Lake Ridge. The results are that all 12 of these communities are conducting open houses at this time. Again, all 12 have open houses. There has also been communication, board member to board member, with several of these communities that the general logic supporting this position is that no board has the right to tell a homeowner how to sell their home. If you as a homeowner, along with your realtor, want to have an open house, it's your right to have an open house. No board, no resident, nor any individual in this community have the right to tell you how to sell your home. The survey conducted actually included 33 communities in our area, and there were only 2 condo communities that did not allow open houses. So 31 out of 33 communities, or 94% of these communities surveyed, allow open houses. These are the facts. So there are 2 conclusions here. Either 94% of the communities are all doing the wrong thing by holding open houses, or there are a couple of residents in this community that are not looking at this position correctly. Period, end of story. But not period. This is short. The board has heard recent concerns in regard to safety in open houses. Although there have been no documented problems to date, the board has decided to be proactive in regard to this concern. Our survey uncovered how some communities have addressed these concerns already. Some communities use and keep a paper document and document who is entering the community and where they are going. Some communities take a picture of individual licensed who are attending an open house. There's even one community that scans the driver's license and registration into a computer to document who is entering their community. It has been decided by this board to adopt one of these best practices to help ensure as safe an environment for our residents as possible. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, thank you very much. And now motion to approve the 2023 paving project of Phase 4 to be completed by Lewis Rothberg and Sons at a cost of $400,256.50. We may get it down to $426 without the 50. To be taken from the reserve fund. Do I have a motion?
Bella, I accept that motion. I make that motion.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? This motion is passed.
Okay.
May we have a discussion on this?
I will lead the discussion. Just to inform you, there are 5 phases of repaving Lake Ridge in total. This is the 4th phase. We've already completed, obviously, the 3. By the way, I live on the 5th phase for Cary Avenue. Not that it matters, but this is a smaller segment of the project at $400,000. We've already accomplished the 3 other phases. That's the end of the discussion. Hope that it explains it better.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the resolution regarding political petitions?
I so move the motion on political petitions.
I seconded.
All in favor?
No. Discussion.
Any opposed? A discussion? Ed?
Okay. The history of this petition, by the way, which should be on your seats, you should have a copy there. It's a lot of boilerplate, but it comes down to this. In the past, there have been a few individuals who have solicited without any authorization signatures on petitions here in the clubhouse. This is problematic, to say the least. So our lawyer has advised that we draft this resolution and approve it formally to regulate and establish rules for political petitions. That goes not merely for public office candidates, but for issues that affect the residents of Lakewood as well. Those are policy decisions just as much as electing an official. So you have a copy of that, and what we're doing today by motion and vote is to memorialize this resolution for the record. That's the discussion.
Thank you. Now may I have a motion to approve the outdoor pool proximity card access program to be done by Control Systems at a cost of $14,490.
I make that motion, Bella.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? This motion is passed. And Michael?
Okay, so little history. We are extending hours for the pool, and we are also putting card swipe systems, and we've already done that for the indoor pool. Summer is coming. We're now going to use the same system to swipe in at the outdoor pool. So you won't have to sign in, only guests will have to sign in. This will allow us to extend hours on the pool as well. And I'm going to get into that a little bit. I'm up next for my Vice President's report. So that's it for now, but I'll talk to you in 1 minute about the rest of it.
Well, we're going to make it about 1 second because it's
my
Vice
turn.
President's report. Michael?
Oh, look at that. Okay. All right. So indoor pool hours are now 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. We extended the hours. Lifeguard is on duty from 12 noon to 4 p.m. Family swim time is from 12 noon to 3 p.m. presently. Guests can only swim when a lifeguard is on duty. We're talking about the indoor pool, just to be clear, right? I will hit the high points of the new rules which are included with this. Guests can only swim when a lifeguard is on duty. Guests can only swim when a lifeguard is on duty. This is for liability. So if you bring a guest when there's no lifeguard, they should not be there. Okay, let me be very clear. Only residents will be able to swim when there's no lifeguard. Most importantly, residents must never swim alone during extended hours. Never swim alone. Never in the spa alone. Never. Okay. Every resident entering the pool area should swipe. If 3 people are going in at the same time, please swipe. It will record it. We're looking at the utilization of the pool so we understand it. Okay, now we'll move on to not just the indoor pool. So the indoor pool has a fixed lift. It's an ADA requirement to put people in and out of the pool. The outdoor pool has a fixed lift that does the same. Neither of them are working. They're being replaced. They're not working properly. They didn't lift this up at all. Sorry. That's the way it is. So instead of replacing 2 of these units, we found a way to buy 1 unit that is movable, that can be used on the inside pool and necessary on the outside pool, thereby saving money. It will be ADA compliant. It will be able to be moved from in to out as needed. This is something not used very often at all, but is a requirement to have in a community like ours. Okay, so that lift is on order and will be here before the pool opens. Talk about the outdoor pool. I mentioned before we have some furniture coming to replace the furniture. You know, the lounge chairs, the chairs, the umbrellas, you know, just to make them look better. Some have failed. We also have the infamous awning, which last year was a fiasco that the company essentially took our money and never produced the product. It is now being replaced before the pool opens now. Rest assured about that. We have reinvigorated the old pool committee to now a committee of, is that here? It's here somewhere. We're up to 9 people on the committee. And we're looking to add more, because with the extended hours, we were going to assume some little responsibilities. We have also added the automatic chlorinators that will monitor the chlorine levels and the pH levels and add all that. So, you know, we're doing this in an effort so that the pool will be open for 10 hours in the summer, every day. 10 hours? Now, I'm going to say this tongue-in-cheek. We're going to look at the utilization, and we may tweak this, but the initial plan here is it's going to be open 10 hours. The lifeguard, as on the indoor pool, to make this easy, indoor pool, the lifeguard shows up at 12. Outdoor pool, what time are they coming? 12. Okay? And then the lifeguard will be on duty 5 hours, 12 noon to 5 p.m. During that time, there will be a portion of that that's family swim time, 12 to 4. A lot of residents came to me and said, they're here too long, we gotta get rid of the kids. Okay, don't have them here past 4 o'clock, okay. But adult visitors can stay till 5. You don't care. So as long, again, a lifeguard is on duty, a guest can be there. The pool will be open till 8 p.m. at night. Okay, so that is the plan there. We're still looking, Ed is still looking for additional residents to come forward to join onto the committee, and we'd appreciate if we can do that. I think that's really it about that. I'll go to the gym. The gym. I always report on the gym, and normally what leads that committee up. The committee has been formed. They're doing a great job. They came up with a recommendation to replace 2 pieces of equipment. 2 pieces of equipment have been replaced. Now we're looking at the redesign of the space, staying within those walls and moving the machines around to make it more efficient. So we have 2 companies doing that for us free, to see if we can make that a little safer, safe being the key word, and also to make it more usable. And if anyone would like to speak to Norm about anything, any input they have, or any one of those committee members, that would be great. And that's the end of my report, Bella.
Okie dokie. One moment, please. probably none of my business, but what the hell. All of that we've talked about, you already paid for in your dues. It's in your dues. Don't get nervous. You know, don't get nervous. Oh, look what they're doing. My God, it's going to cost. Oh, it's already there. I hope you all understand that. So now, Mary, I'm sorry, but
Be
you
my
go right
guest.
ahead.
Okay, of course I give you the good news and the bad news, but it's mostly good. Okay, this is our statement for the last 3 months ending March. Our net income was $182,933, okay, which is $94,141 better than the budget. That's good. Okay, why do we have this extra money, you might say? Why do we have this? I don't know. Okay, I do know. Okay, we had a surplus that we carried over from 2022 that was $36,997. So we came into this year with a plus. We closed on more houses than we budgeted for $5,600. Okay, so that's why. Now, our expenses. Okay, while we have some over and under spendings in several accounts, they balanced out. So we are $45,000 favorable to the budget for 3 months. Okay, as of 3/31/23, our cash and investment funds total approximately $3.2 million, most of which is in our replacement fund, which has a balance of $2.3 million. The fund held in the replacement funds are invested in CDs insured by the FDIC, in money market funds, and some funds are held in cash for immediate dispersal. So overall, knock on wood, we're doing good.
That was it? I could do another 45 minutes, but I to do that. No, he's very interesting. Okay, so the business portion of this meeting is over. Oh, I'm sorry.
She wants
See, my page went from page to, wow. Okay, I'm really sorry. That's terrible. But anyway, Secretary reported, I'm sorry. They were up here already, I thought it was over.
All right. Okay, I speak as secretary, but also as liaison to the grounds committee, which is the larger part of my actual contribution to the board. First of all, the 16 dangerous trees that the grounds committee has identified are being addressed in the next 2 weeks. So if you submitted a concern about trees that you think are posing danger and they have been approved by the grounds committee, they'll be dealt with in the next 2 weeks or so. The problem of erosion, any of you homeowners who have homes on a slope or whose property is back onto a common area with a slope, understand the problem of erosion. No matter how much seed and fertilizer you throw down, the first rain washes it all away. And the grounds committee is surveying those areas and looking to see what we can do in the way of planting some effective ground cover that would essentially spread in lieu of grass, which washes away, something like pachysandra or ivy or vinca or some other ground cover that would take root and hold against erosion, and it would look pretty. It wouldn't have to be mowed because it's going to be planted on the common. So, regarding the vegetable garden, there are still some plots available in the Lake Ridge Vegetable Garden, so if you are interested in one of those plots, please see me sometime this week. We can get together and go down there and see what we can do for you. Connected with that garden, I'm also working with federal irrigation to see what we can do to reestablish a spigot In the old days, several, I guess 8 or 9 years ago, there used to be a spigot so the gardeners could fill a watering can and water their own little plot. For some reason, that spigot was taken away. Well, we're now looking to reestablish it so that the gardeners can water on demand and make sure that their garden doesn't wilt under the sun. So, we're also working to clear the south and western borders of the garden on the outside of all the weeds and tree of heaven trees that are sprouting up. The tree of heaven is worse than poison ivy. If you leave poison ivy alone, you won't get a rash. Tree of heaven breeds or is a host to Chinese lantern flies that are going to eat up Lake Ridge. That's not too much of an exaggeration. So we need to clear that off, and I'm looking with Turfmaster and Cut Above to see what we can do in the way of clearing that and preventing regrowth into the garden. So that's my report.
Okay. Barbara, the Director of Large Report. I didn't forget you.
I'm back. Has anyone saw me talk this much before? No. Okay. First, I would like to thank Jolene Pisano for initiating the moment of silence of our departed residents after the Pledge of Allegiance at our open board meetings. Thank you. Second, I was at a RFID committee meeting ran by Joanne Greenberg and Babs Jenkins. It was done very professionally, and every committee person completed their part of the research for that meeting and had great discussions and brought other options to the table. Great job. And one more thing, Architectural Review Committee. It's that time of year again. The flowers are blooming, trees are green again, the birds are chirping, and it's time for working on the outside of your home. Some examples are roofs, windows, gutters, garage doors, shutters, exterior lighting, sidewalks, patios, driveways, edge pavers, shade tree removal, mailbox replacements, etc. Well, before you start any of these or other ARC standard jobs, you should check out the ARC Standards Manual. It gives you all the requirements for any job you need to do, from colors to measurements on any given project. But don't forget to stop by the clubhouse, library kiosk, and management office to get your ARC application. For any questions or concerns, see Phil Weiner. This has been an unpaid public announcement.
Very good. Very good. Thanks, Barbara. And now, our manager's report.
Final report.
This should be a doozy. She could say anything she wanted. And there's not a damn thing anything.
But I would never do that. First, thank you very much. I really appreciate the overwhelming show of support and good wishes that everyone has given over the past week or so. Stopping in, people I've never met that came in, and we had phone conversations, and maybe they were up for a fine, but they weren't doing the right thing, but they came in and thanked me and wished good luck. So thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it. You've all been very, very gracious for allowing me in your community and in your home. So, a little bit of business though. You see we have prescription take back today. If you have anything, Erin has scheduled Tom's River to be here, so they're out in the front lobby. Street sweeping, Lisa worked on street sweeping for us, and that will begin between Tuesday and Thursday next week. We're trying to work around trash removal and recycling and bulk pickup, which is at the end of the week. The proposal is signed, as Mike said, for paving with John Rothberg. The streets this year are Danbury Lane, Fieldcrest Lane, Lenox Street, Rock Hill Lane, Roseville Court, and Springwater Court. And then the last of the paving project will be the remaining streets next year. Candidates Night is April 24th. Some of the folks from the election committee are here. They worked really hard on getting all the information out. You should have the mailing any day. The paper ballots have gone out. E-voting is going to the, to vote HOA now today, so if you e-vote over the next couple of days, you'll see that. Please vote. There are 3 seats for 3 candidates. You go through with the election in case they're write-ins, but we also need a quorum. So please vote and encourage your neighbors, your friends and neighbors to vote. As Mike, I think, touched on the interviews with, or Bella did, I'm sorry, the interviews with contractors for the cladding are next week, so the board will select a contractor at that point. And the tree project, if you remember, we talked about a while ago, putting some money in deferred maintenance to catch up on some of the tree work that now needs to be done. So that has started. We went out to bid, the board put some specs together based on recommendations from the grounds committee, and a cut above was included in some of that, and Turf Master, they were awarded the contract, so they are starting this week, I believe. And just to go back a little bit, you have the current information, but because we're on record, if you need that handicap chair at the pool, it does work well enough to get you in. It wasn't any fault of the board or staff, but it was a little bit of maybe not, well, it's aged for sure, but there's a special water reservoir that you need to turn on before the chair can work, and we were not aware of that. So it works barely, but if you need it, we'll get you in the pool until the new one arrives. And the awning outside, it was an issue last year, and the gentleman did not fulfill the proposal for the awning, but I will tell you that we didn't let him off the hook. And Joe Coronado has a civil action against this. It's $3,000, but it's your $3,000. So he has a civil action against them to recover the money. So that will come down the road, and I'm sure Ray will follow up on that for you. And again, thank you so much. You've all been extremely gracious. I'm sorry, Mike brought something to my attention, the monuments out front. I'm sure you see the monuments are being worked on. There was some stucco work. When they took the signs off and started to power wash and clean, they realized that there'd been a repair to that in the past. But the way they adhered it did not stick, so a little bit more work needed to be done than was originally anticipated. So they should be done this week. He said 7 to 10 days, working days. That was last week. And then the signs are a separate company. You'll have new signs on there, and you'll have a beautiful entrance, more beautiful entrance. And that's my report.
Thank you. And now, the business portion of this meeting is closed, and it will be followed by a question and answer period of up to 45 minutes. But if